Happy New Year, everyone. I can't believe that we're at the end of 2024. It feels like the year only just got started, but it's been a fantastic year for figures. So, as has become a little bit of a tradition in recent years, I'm going to give you my thoughts on my personal top 10 favourite action figures that I got this year. Now, I always have to give the caveat that, of course, I don't collect every action figure out there. This is just my personal thoughts, and these are just the top 10 in my personal collection, the ones that I acquired this year. So if your favourite isn't on the list, then please, by all means, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But as I said, today it's just going to be about my personal reflections on my favourites from 2024. Kicking us off at number 10, you know I'm something of a Marvel Legends collector, so you're going to anticipate a few of these popping up on this list. And I'm going to start off with the Scarlet Spider, as part of the Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro wave that we get on those retro cards. I'm a huge fan of this subline. I love the retro card. I'm a real sucker for nostalgia, and I just love that this takes me back to my childhood. So the figure was already off to a good start, but it only gets better from there, because even though this figure represents a double dip, it is essentially an updated version of an existing figure that I already own. They've done just such a fantastic job with this figure. It features a brand new sculpt. It has lovely textures. It actually has a rubberized hoodie there, which gives it an extra sense of depth. The articulation is fantastic, as you would hope for, and it just about improves on the first release in pretty much every possible way, making this, for me, the definitive version of the Scarlet Spider on the market at the moment. Changing gears at number 9, we're actually heading back to the early part of 2024 for a Character Options Doctor Who set. The Ruins of Scarlet is a set celebrating Destiny of Daleks, one of my personal favourite Doctor Who stories, and it features for the first time the debut of a classic Doctor Who villain, which is the Movellans. And it also gave fans a second chance to pick up one of the long-lost Dalek variants, which is this one here with the bombs attached, because this was an exclusive release many years previous, and it was quite difficult and quite rare to get hold of, so it was great to be able to finally add this one to my collection. All in all, this is a pretty fantastic set, and I hope that Character Options continue to do these. At number 8, we return back to Marvel, but this time it's actually Diamond Select who provided us with this fantastic Marvel Select Captain America. Now, this is a classic Steve Rogers cap all the way through, and it is pretty magnificent. We get several different heads here, and also two distinctly different versions of Cap through these various accessories, his shield and the head sculpts and things like that, that actually allow us to have a 1940s Captain America or a more classic 60s onwards Captain America, which is pretty fantastic. Now, I have massive criticisms of Marvel Select when it comes to their timescales and getting figures out. I'm still waiting a year on for my Archangel that was announced, that I actually paid my deposit on back in 2023. But you cannot fault the end product, because when they do get them out, they are pretty fantastic, and they're only getting better all the time. And this Captain America, for me, was just a real revelation. I thought they did an absolutely wonderful job of him. I love all the various different accessories he comes with, and he's pretty awesome in every way. The sculpting, the paint job, and of course the articulation as well. He's the full package, he's the real deal, and for me, he's quite possibly my favourite all-time Captain America figure. At number 7, we return to Marvel Legends, and it is, of course, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider from the 90s. I love this character, I love this version of the character. I can't believe we haven't had an update in over 20 years for this figure. And I have to say, they've absolutely nailed it. I love the motorcycle in particular. I think they've done an incredible job with this. Of course, it's movable, the wheels rotate, it's got all these flame effects. It just looks absolutely fantastic, and the pièce de résistance for me is the fact that it comes with this fantastic display stand that actually helps the vehicle rear up, which just looks so awesome when it's on display, and it really captures the spirit of vengeance in all of his glory. I think this is a fantastic release for me, easily on my top 10. I've had it on display on my shelf all year long when I usually have to put a lot of these back into storage. This is one that has stayed the course, because I just love the way this thing looks. At number 6, we have the final Marvel Legends figure on my list, and that's always a difficult call because there's been so many great ones this year, but for me it had to be Hulkbuster. And funnily enough, I haven't actually released a video on this guy yet, but don't worry, one will come in the new year. But I got him as a Christmas gift, and I have to say he was absolutely worth the wait. He is tremendous. Now, I have a lot of affection and love for the original Marvel Legends Hulkbuster that came from Toy Biz all those years ago. I also have the Marvel Select version of the Hulkbuster, so I didn't think I needed another one, but I think I was wrong because this one is pretty fantastic. In fact, I'd probably say it's the definitive version so far. I love the Hulkbuster, and I love what they've done here with it. There's lots of little details. It's massively oversized. It comes with the Tony Stark head underneath, and yeah, when you put it next to that first release from Toy Biz, boy, can you see the difference. And, yeah, obviously it is like chalk and cheese, but I have to say I love the size on this thing. This is a huge figure. This is bigger than your average builder figure. He towers above Odin. He towers above any Hulk figure you have, and he towers above NECA figures like Robocop, and this looks absolutely fantastic to me. So I have to say I absolutely love this figure, and for me he's one of the standouts of the year, and that's really saying something given that we've had something of a vintage year for Marvel Legends figures. At number 5, I'm turning my attention to the Distinguished Competition, and it seems perfectly appropriate that we'd have a Batman in here because it has been the 85th anniversary of the character, and there's been an amazing amount of fantastic toys released this year to celebrate. But the one that really stands out to me is this Batman Forever, the Val Kilmer Batman, and that's very high praise coming from me because I don't really care for Val Kilmer's Batman, but I do love this figure. In fact, I loved this wave, although it did have a rather unusual builder figure. But I thought every figure in this wave was really, really good. But the Batman really stands head and shoulders above all of them. I just love the way they've brought this costume to life. There's so much detail here. There's a number of different paints being used or different plastics being used. He comes with loads of really fun accessories, and he has a cloth cape as well. And I know people have mixed feelings about the cloth capes, but I happen to love it. It's a little bit thin for my liking, but I'm really pleased that he does have this rather than the rubber cape that we saw with the George Clooney Batman just last year. And then, of course, you know, the pièce de resistance is the fact that we actually got a Batman Forever Batmobile. And again, it's not my favourite Batmobile, not by a long chalk, but I do think they've taken lessons from the 1989 Batmobile that was released in 23, and they've really improved upon it. This time we have lights and sounds, and they've done so much more with the dashboard. It just looks fantastic, and I'm really, really pleased to own this. Now, again, I haven't covered this on my channel, but I will be covering it a little bit later in the new year. But this also came with Alfred, or Michael Goff's Alfred, for this line, which is absolutely brilliant. So all round, I suppose I'm highlighting the Batman Forever figure here, but really it's this entire wave. I really feel like McFarlane Toys did something special this year and knocked it out of the park. As we approach the final countdown, I'm now going to focus on the 1/6 action figures I've added to my collection. And it's been a pretty fantastic year, but there's been a couple of real standouts for me this year. And one of those has to be this Trick or Treat Studios Hammer Horror Dracula, or the Christopher Lee Dracula. I was absolutely delighted to be able to finally add this icon to my collection. I don't have many 1/6 horror figures, but I had to have Christopher Lee's Dracula for sure. And I think they've done a really nice job. What is essentially a budget release, this feels very high-end actually. I love the tailoring, particularly on the cape, which feels very thick and luxurious. I love the satin inner lining. It just looks beautiful, catches the light perfectly, and he comes with 2 heads, which is brilliant. You have this snarling vampire head, and then you have the more calm, reserved Count head, which I think is brilliant. I couldn't think of what else more I would want from it, and for a figure that's essentially half the price of your average 1/6 collectible, I have to say he was worth every penny. At number 3, the year started well for X06 with this fantastic Data figure. Now, there's been a couple of other releases so far this year that unfortunately have not made its way into my hands, so I've not been able to cover Geordie or Krug. And I definitely have some frustrations with how these figures are distributed in the UK, but this is neither the place nor the forum to get into such conversation. Needless to say, though, the one figure I was able to add to my collection this year, this Data, has been absolutely phenomenal. I really do like the quality quality of the Exo 6 figures. They feel incredibly high-end, and at the moment the price point is fairly reasonable given the quality that we're seeing here. The tailoring is brilliant, the actual sculpting is really good, the paint apps are fantastic, and he comes with some really fun accessories as well, including Spot the Cat if you went for the deluxe version or the essentials version or standard version. I can't remember, there's all these different terminologies for these figures, but the deluxe one, which is the one I opted for, was absolutely a real treat, and I have to say, you know, I do love this series, and I think they've done a fantastic job so far. I just wish they could distribute them a little bit quicker. At number 2, we have a second entry for the Dark Knight. This time it is Hot Toys 1989 Batman reissue. For all intents and purposes, this is a straight re-release of the figure that was released a good 10 or more years ago, with some minor adjustments here and there. At the time, I certainly had some criticisms of this figure, and if you want to see what those are, of course, you're welcome to check out the video. But there's still no denying that this is a very impressive figure. It's still the best 1989 Batman figure on the market in the 1/6 scale. As far as I know, it's the only one, but I might be wrong, so it kind of wins by default, but nevertheless, it's still very impressive. I do love the texturing on this figure, like it does have a really nice feel to it, and it has an absolute plethora of accessories, so much so that I had to go back and rewatch the film to remind myself what some of these bits and pieces were, because they're that obscure, and that is all to its credit. I think it's a fantastic array of goodies that we get here. I particularly love the interchangeable faceplates. I think that works an absolute treat, and you can create some very distinct, very different looks for this particular version of the character with these various different accessories. Where it falls down, of course, is on the articulation, which does make it a little bit limited, but there's still no denying that this looks absolutely dramatic and really impactful when you put it on display. It looks really, really very cool, and as I said, I haven't sent mine back. I'm really pleased to have it in my collection, and I think it is a very striking collectible. And this brings me to my all-time number 1 for 2024. It is the Rambo First Blood Part 2 3016 scale figure. I was absolutely blown away by this figure. I had fairly low expectations. I wasn't anticipating to love it as much as I did, and a large part of that comes down to the incredible arsenal that this figure comes with. Every conceivable weapon from that film is captured here, and in incredible detail. He has his rocket launcher, which actually comes apart and you can fire the rocket out of it if you want. It has his bow. He has a number of different arrows, each one's unique and individual. And then guns and knives galore. He even has his pendant that goes round his neck, and it looks spot on as it does in the movie. I think this is just absolutely fantastic. The likeness is great. The costume, the multiple layers of the costume, the fact that you can swap out some of these tops and have different looks from him from across the film is brilliant, really well thought out, and the articulation is fantastic. I love the seamless rubber arms as well, so you can't see the joints there, but it allows them to move up and down. My only criticism of this figure was just the shoulders, where you can see that unseemly joint, and it's a shame they didn't have a rubber overlay for this as well. But other than that, this is an absolutely incredible figure. I wish all figures were of this standard. This for me has raised the bar significantly in terms of what I expect from our 1/6 collectible, and this outshines all of my Hot Toys figures. And I have to say that I think 3-0 have really set a new benchmark here for me. This is the figure by which I judge all others by from now on, and I just think they deserve so much credit because this is a fantastic figure, and I'll be looking to buy more from this company in the future. And there you have it. There's my top 10 of 2024. Please let me know in the comments what your personal top 10 were, or your absolute favourite of this year. Especially if I didn't cover it, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. But as ever, I just wanted to wish you all a very happy new year, and a big thank you to all of those who've subscribed and supported the channel. In 2024, I crossed over 1,000 subscribers, and I just want to thank every single person who clicked on that button and have come back and watched my videos. I'm hugely grateful and appreciative of you all, and I hope to continue to make more videos in the coming year. So have a very happy new year everyone, and all the best for a successful 2025.